Throw hand!
Thank you guys, hello and welcome back to Gobots Corner.
Now, time for my favourite show.
That's right, you heard me. This week is Gobots Appreciation Week.
This is my favourite game!
Don't change the channel. I know you Transformers fans do have a soft spot for this franchise, and
Wait for me, you inverters!
And the reason why I'm doing Gobots Appreciation Week is because, well, I really enjoyed the Gobots growing up. When I was a kid, don't get me wrong, Transformers was my first and forever love, but Gobots was a great little franchise. They had good
Heartwarming, isn't it?
toys, they had decent storyline, cartoon series, comic books, etc, etc, etc. Today I want to talk about the positives of Gobots. There are plenty of negatives. Let's get that out there straight away, but I want to talk about some of the positives. So,
How ironic.
for me, what were the good things about the Gobots? Well, first and foremost, simplicity of the toy line. They were little figures, well built with die cast and rubber tires and so on and so forth, good quality. And
King of the gods, eh? That I am, but my true name is Lord Cycle.
they all, originally at least anyway, came in the same sort of scale. So you could pick up a figure, you could transform it just like that. Something that I think Transformers has lost over the years.
Ha! They will soon learn differently.
They all had sort of visible head syndrome and very robotic 80s style arms and legs that weren't particularly well posable, articulated or good looking, but hey, they were still fun to pick up and play with.
You idiot! It's
And they resembled their Earth vehicles or monsters. Part of the other reason why I really enjoyed Gobots is because they had a really good backstory. So if
I've got some friends I'd like you to meet.
you've ever watched the cartoon, you'll know that Gobots are actually not traditional robots like Transformers. Instead, the Gobots are actually cyborgs who had their brains transplanted from their sort of humanoid life form flesh type creatures into robot bodies so that they could survive the civil war that had broken out between the Guardians and the Renegades.
Come to Cycle.
And this is all explained in the cartoon show, which I really enjoyed. That little mini series they had, a couple of mini series at the beginning there, the Battle for Gobotron, and the combiners were done differently, especially the Power Warrior, which was basically like a Power Ranger in a way. It was the basis for that in the sense that you had 4 limbs that would attach to a main body shell carcass, and those 4 limbs would actually be hollow. You'd put a Gobot character within those, and that's why they were called suits. And the main carcass was a ship, and then all of a sudden you had this Power Warrior, and he would then attack. The other combiner that they had in the show, which was the Puzzler, which was made up of 5 cars which combined together with no additional parts, unlike Transformers. No little dig there.
They think they have me beat. They think they're safe.
But ultimately they had built-in hands and feet and no weapons. The cool thing about Gobots was they could all fly and they all had power energy fists that they could. And then we had the Rock Lords feature film, a film about rocks. Who couldn't be more excited?
I know.
But ultimately it didn't do particularly well. I wonder why.
I know.
And yeah, it failed dismally, but
Oh, that power I had it in my hands.
it was actually entertaining. It had some good characters in it. It developed a storyline off the Gobotron home planet and so on and so forth, which was cool. In the line they had the Super Gobots and the DX line, which took it to the next scale level and built in electronics and some of the toys and so on and so forth. Took the price point up as well, from the very, very cheap entry-level Gobots up to a bit more kind of in scale with Transformers, but they weren't as well manufactured. They looked worse, in my opinion.
You idiots!
And then let's talk about the show. So I really enjoyed the show. I still watch it from time to time now. There were some superb characters in that show, specifically with regards to the Renegades. The main three characters. Psykill, absolutely fantastic. A power-hungry, expressive and exuberant character. Really
I can't believe this is happening.
well voice acted by Bernard Earhart, who unfortunately no longer with us. Actually, Andy Ride may know was a member of the Visionaries voice cast as well. I think he was an influence for Beast Wars Megatron with the way in which he put through his lines and the way in which he expressed himself.
By all means, bring it aboard.
And then you had the Maniacal Crasher, probably the first strong female evil lead in any of the kind of series that I used to watch, and a really interesting cackling little character there. She used to give as good as she could get as well.
Shall we bring it aboard? Or just destroy it?
And the dim-witted, slow-thinking thug Coptor who just spoke really slowly and sorry. I thought.
I'll head them off, all right. I'll take their heads off.
He was brilliant. So let's talk about what happened. Well, Gobots were first introduced into the toy market before Transformers in 1983. So,
Come to Psykill.
so they had the first punch in the war, if you like. And unfortunately for the Gobots, while they fought hard in 1984 and 1985, they were actually one of the top selling toys in both of those categories in those years. In top 6 in just toys in general in those decades. However, they lost their fight to the superior Transformers eventually.
At least we got away. That's all that matters. No, what matters is that we failed again.
With their better TV show, better comics, better toys, bigger lineup, more expansive kind of figures as well, rather than just one sort of scale. And
How do you stop this thing?
ultimately they fell apart. 1986, they came to the end of Gobots, and a few years later the owner Tonka was bought by Hasbro, and so Hasbro now own the rights to the Gobot franchise.
What's so funny?
Will we ever see a crossover?
I have a better idea.
I, for one, would love to see the Autobots versus the Renegades versus the Decepticons.
I'll just pull this lever and turn the lights back on.
Having that third faction come in, maybe Starscream defecting to the Renegades, something like that.
Hey, come back, you lousy chickens!
I think that would be brilliant. What do you all think? Do you enjoy the Gobots? Do you want to see them in Transformers lore? They are turning up every now and again as recolors and so on and so forth, but I'd like to see more from them.
I shall return.
Anywho, for another week, I've been Rohan on Rohan's Corner. Hope you've enjoyed. Back to the studio.
Hey boys, we've been rumbled. Well, let's bounce.